Welcome home to St. Anne's. We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons. We can't wait to meet you.
Please be seated. I love this story. As someone who is short, I totally understand. Tall people are always standing in front. You can't see. Right? Yeah. All right, so let's talk about this story because I absolutely love this story. And I think it has a lot to say to us today. So roughly the story goes like this. Wow, this is like heavily sided today. The boat tips. I was like, whoa. All right. I get distracted sometimes. Squirrel. So Zacchaeus desperately, he's curious, right? And I think curiosity is really one of the most profound and important things that draws us to God, is our curiosity. And so he's curious, right? I mean, he's kind of, no, maybe you don't. It was a week ago. It was a long time ago. That I talked about the tax collectors and how that was really a frowned upon career move at that time if you were in the Jewish community. And so you have, because he is wealthy, and so, but he also carries this stigma. He knows that he's kind of one of the frowned upon people, but he's really, really curious about Jesus. He really, really wants to see this guy and hear him. And so he runs ahead and he climbs a tree. And part of that is the height thing, the stature thing, as they say in the gospel. But another part of it is he's not welcome there. No one else is going to welcome into this crowd. So they're not going to make room for him to go see Jesus. He's going to be pushed out. So he also knows this. So going into the tree allows him to see and be a part of things when he's not actually allowed to be a part of them. He's ostracized. And it is to this that Jesus sees him and calls him. And that is such an important thing for us to hear. That Jesus sees who Zacchaeus can be. Not who he is, because everybody else sees who they perceive him to be. His label, what he's done, all that stuff. But Jesus sees something different. And Jesus calls to that something different and says, hey, I'm going to your house. Aren't you glad your priest doesn't do that to you? Guess whose house I'm going to? But it's kind of a big deal. So Zacchaeus is like, he saw me. He saw me. He chose me. And so based on that, Zacchaeus makes this life-altering decision to follow Jesus and change who he is. And that is important for us to hear, because Jesus sees who we can be, who we truly are, not all the layers of other stuff that we have been added on to, right? But who we truly are. And that person, that church, is who God calls. Today is Reformation Sunday. I know. Episcopalians, we don't really know how we feel about this. Because Episcopalians are both Catholic and Protestant. And sometimes we get confused which one we are. But really the beauty of that is that we get to celebrate everything. So the Roman Catholics are over there worried about All Hallows Eve. And the Protestants are over here worried about Reformation Sunday. And we're here at St. Anne's, we're like, all the things. So I break out the nice stole, and we have all the costumes. And that's, frankly, the beauty of the Episcopal Church, is that we have all of the things. And so I do want to talk a little bit about Reformation Sunday, because I think it is really important. And honoring also our Catholic tradition, too. But today, I really want to honor our Protestant history. So Reformation Sunday, which I think really, really speaks to our gospel today. Because let's do a brief story on Reformation, shall we? Real quick. 1517. Little Catholic priest. He's all upset. He's feeling a lot of big feelings because he's looking around at the medieval church and he's saying, what we're doing and saying doesn't match who God says we are and what we're supposed to be doing. So the beauty of Martin is that he can actually read the Bible. So that's going to be a big deal later for Martin. Martin Luther, by the way, that's what I'm talking about. Martin Luther. So in 1517, he's really, really frustrated. So according to myth, let's not get too technical about absolute fact here, okay? Because we're looking for truth. You guys have heard that truth is different than fact, right? You've heard Meg say that. There's true and there's fact. Here in the church, we're really worried about what is true, okay? So Martin gets really, really upset, and he writes the 95 Theses, or on Halloween, 95 Reese's, which is what your mom's going to take from you when you go out trick-or-treating. Because Reese's, I always go to your mom. Okay, so I told you we're combining all the things today. We're combining Halloween, and we're combining Protestant Reformation. All right. So in 1517, Martin's really mad, and he goes to Wittenberg Church, and he nails the 95 Theses to the door of the church. Because he's real mad, right? And thus begins the Protestant Reformation. All right? So it's important to know Martin is a Catholic priest, okay? So you would not believe how often here in Missouri I have to tell people that Roman Catholics are the real Christians. Because they're like, oh, I'm a Christian. I mean, I used to be a Roman Catholic, but now I'm like, oh, those are the originals. They own it, okay? There's no separation here. We just reformed it. We decided that, okay, there are a few things that didn't work for us. And thus begins the Protestant Reformation, where we go back into Scripture and say, okay, who is God calling us to be? How is God calling us to be? Because God, we've been up in that tree doing some things that we probably shouldn't have been doing and hiding some of the things that we've been doing that we shouldn't have been doing. And Jesus comes along and is like, hey, church, I'm coming to your house. And we're like, whoa, God's coming to our house? Like, he's going to show up in the church? Uh-oh. We better come down from the tree and start acting right. Okay, so I want us to think about that because I think we are in an age of it's time for some reformation. It's time. We in our personal lives, but then also I think in the church, we've been getting distracted, right? I'm going to tell you straight up. I'm sick of evangelical Christians deciding who Christians are. We've been doing this a long time. They've been here for like 30 years. Okay? Welcome to the party. The dip is mostly gone, but we're glad you came. We've been doing this a long time. But we have allowed ourselves to be defined by other people. We have allowed the Christian faith to become all sorts of things that it isn't. And all because we got distracted from what the actual book says. You want to know what that book says? It says love. In the face of all things, love. The arc of history always bends towards justice and love. And we've gotten distracted. Because sometimes in the Episcopal Church, we really, really want to embrace our Roman Catholic roots. We want to wear dresses all the time and be all fancy and have fancy hats. That's cute. That's great, if that's your thing. Or other times, we're really, really sucked into the evangelical piece, aren't we? But I'm going to tell you, none of that is scripturally based. None of that is based in Jesus Christ. They're fun trappings. It's nice. I think it's cute that we have fun candles. Though, I mean, with all the light, we don't really need them. And it's fun to dress up in the cool clothes and to have the banners. It's cute and it's fun and it makes it special. But it's not based in Jesus Christ. And it's fun to have, you know, your spiritual life with Jesus and blah, 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 and it's nice to go out and tell the rest of the world how they're supposed to behave. Rules that we would never follow. But it's nice to tell other people that they should. Not scripturally based. Scripturally based is love. Absolute. 100% hard love. And that is what we are called to. We're called to come down from our tree today. The church has been called to come down from the tree. And we've been called in lots of different ways. And we've ignored it. We've been like, yeah, but the view's really nice up here. The pension plan's really nice up here. The clothes are really nice up here. You and I are called to come down from the tree. We're called to come down from the tree and return to the scripturally based stuff. The scripturally based Jesus, the one who gets in your face and says, it's time to be different. It's time to love differently. It's time to live differently. That's where we're called to. And that's hard. I'll tell you what, Martin Luther spent most of his time hiding. Because I'm going to tell you what, people don't like hearing that you should follow Jesus. You want to know what doesn't preach well? You want to know what really upsets the Vatican? When you're like, maybe, just maybe, you should spend more of your money on the poor than on artwork. And they're all like, oh, wait, what? Like these cathedrals over here, they're towers to God. And Martin's like, yeah, no, they're not. And we're like, well, yeah, I mean, I get that these vestments cost thousands of dollars, but they're really, really pretty. And when things are really, really pretty in the church, it makes you think of the divine, and then you get closer to God. And Martin's like, yeah, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Being in the bar singing hymns that y'all can actually sing and you don't need a choir, a paid choir to sing, that is what you're called to. And that's what Martin did. He said, you know what? Everyone should be able to read this book. Everyone. And then we have this fun little invention called the printing press, which makes a huge difference in the Protestant Reformation. But that's a sermon for another time. All sorts of things start to happen. Because guess what? When it's on the ground, when we are on the ground living scripturally, it looks different. And it's going to upset a few people. Because I'm going to tell you what, it doesn't pay well. And it means you're going to hang out with the people that you shouldn't be hanging out with. Because Jesus did. And Jesus does. We are called to do the same. So that's my message today. It's time, just might be time, for a little bit of revolution. And then someday I'll
We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons. We can't wait to meet you.